We are coming up to the Yontif of Purim, and the Yontif of Purim, the holiday of Purim, is really about gaining a deeper understanding of what's happening around us. We hear of world events, we hear of wars, we hear of political changes, we hear of new decrees which are being made against the Jewish people or other groups or nations. And our immediate reaction is that this is the way it goes, this is politics, this is the way of the world, and just to go on with our lives. But the Megillah teaches us that it's much deeper, that every single event that happens in the course of world history is really a tapestry, it's really being planned out, it's really from a much higher source, and not to be satisfied with what meets the eye. To try to piece the pieces together and to understand the deeper meaning of what's going on, because there's much, much more going on than meets the eye. And this, I believe, is why you see in the Megillah so many psukim, so many words repeated. Am va'am, mishpacha v'mishpacha, lashon v'lashon. All the time, words repeating. What's going on here? Or in Yiddish, what's tutzach dorten? What's going on here? And the idea is there's two levels of life. There's what we see with our eyes, and there's what's really going on behind the surface. As they say in um, Kabbalistic literature, the Shorish HaDvar, or even in Talmudic literature, the Shorish, getting to the root of things, what's really going on. It's like if you go to the dentist. A few months ago, I had massive pains in my tooth, and I could try taking a Tylenol. That's one option. Or the other option is go to the dentist, and he tells you need root canal. And at 12:30 at night, he took a drill and he went deep, deep into my tooth and took out the infected areas. That's called getting to the shorish, getting to the root. And for this reason, the Megillah is constantly repeating words to tell us that don't be satisfied by what meets the eye. There's much more going on. It's much deeper. And this process is really called Bina. Bina is going beyond the surface level and trying to understand really the deeper meaning of what's going on. And we spoke about this in the last class about why good things are hidden and bad things are revealed, is because we said that in Shemayim, in the Shorish, in Shemayim, in the source of things in Shemayim, so Gvura, Din, judgment, is out in the open, and Chesed is hidden. It's a hidden place in Shemayim, and therefore it is much harder when it gets down here for us to see. We have to really dig it out and try to uncover the Chesed, which is buried, beneath a lot of things. But the Gvura, the Din, the judgment, is right out there in the open. And I'd like to add another point today, which is that the Gvura, the Din, and which brings us to Bina, that is the energy that gets us started. Most things in life, most great things in life, transpire because of agitation. Something's bothering us. We don't like the way things are. Uh, just one example. Sarah Schneer, she said, the world is changing. Women are changing. Society's changing. And if we don't educate the women now, they're going to completely leave Judaism. Right? So she started that. She was agitated. Yeah. Myself, right? I felt I really have to understand what Hashem wants from me in this world. And that's why I started learning halacha in depth. And I opened up a call to try to train poskim. And it agitated me that the way halacha was learned in previous generations, I didn't see it so much today. It agitated me. So it pushed me to do something. And most big things in life happen because of gulas. Almost everything. There's an agitation that pushes us, and then agitation causes us to go deeper, and then we get to the chesed. And this is what happened in Purim. Mordechai was majorly agitated by what happened, by the fact that the Jewish people didn't listen to him, not to go to the Suda of Achashverosh, to the feast of Achashverosh, and they didn't listen, and because of that, it was a decree to destroy the Jewish people. So Mordechai Tzaddik stood for many, many days in the courtyard of the king in order to uproot, to overturn this decree, which was in mud and not in blood. So if we feel agitated in life, if something bothers us, don't despair. It's not something bad. Agitation is something good. It's coming from this place in Shemayim, this open place in Shemayim, where the Gvuras are, where the attribute of Gvura, of Gvura and Din is, and it's agitating us for a reason. Right? Sometimes we get agitated because we're in a traffic jam and the cars are not moving. And you hear, like, especially here in Yerushalayim, where there's a lot of traffic and they're uprooting the whole city, they're doing something here. So you hear one guy starts hacking another guy, and then you have a whole symphony. So that type of agitation is going to get you nowhere. Maybe it'll release some of your frustration, but it just makes a lot of noise. The real agitation, which is really good agitation, is when it gets you to do something, and that agitation leads to what's called bina, and bina is breaking through. You have something you don't understand, and a lot of questions, and you ask another question, and you get an answer, and the chavrusa says something, and he argues with you, and you argue back, etc. And that's how we really get to real understanding, das, real understanding. It's the process of bina, and this is what Purim is really all about. Now, when a person is sober, their level of das, of understanding, is limited, but when a person drinks a little bit of wine, right, or maybe a little bit more, depending on how much that person's supposed to drink. So it says Yosemi Limudo, more than he's used to. When a person drinks wine, the Gemara tells us, and I believe it's in Erevin, that right, person who drinks wine has more understanding than 70 Sekanim, 70 elders of the Sanhedrin. And why is that? Because each person has their own understanding, and that limits the person. A person's own understanding limits his perspective of life because it's the way you see it. My son told me 2 days ago he had a 3-hour long battle with his chavrusa about one pshat in Rashi and Bava Metzia. I told him it probably could have ended in 5 minutes because you see it like this, he see it like that. You're not going to convince each other. You're just proving to each other that you're both right. So, Bina, right? Bina is significantly increased by wine because wine lets you drop your own understanding and understand there's many, many other perspectives on life. There's many ways to see things, right? And when the walls that surround our understanding, what David Melech calls "lotzia mimaskinafshi," the walls we place around ourselves, the person drinks, and of course you have to be very careful how you drink. And I'll add, Rabbi Glatt in Woodmere has told me many times, and I agree with him. A person has to drink. If they drink, he says they should drink. I say drink a little bit, los mudo, right? Drink as much as you can um, in a dignified and respectful fashion, right? If you're a man, if you're a woman, I'm not saying what Chazal tells women shouldn't drink wine, but the point is that when you break down these barriers, which are impeding our open-minded perspective of everything, then our bina increases 70 times. Because it's more than 70 times. Because we stop looking at life based on our own perspective. We're able to see 69 other perspectives of things, and that gives us the whole picture. Because we know there's 70 faces of Torah. The 70 faces of Torah, and we generally only see one of them. But when we have a little bit of wine, we're able to see all 70 if we're sober. I mean, if we're still in a state of, we're not what's called shikr shalot, or we're just sasoy and not shikr. In that state, that we can really understand the world. We can understand what's happening here in Israel and Russia and Ukraine and everywhere else for that matter. Right? It's all divine hands. It's all instrumented by Hashem and leading somewhere and bring us hopefully towards the Gula. So the next time you get agitated, use that agitation to go deeper, right? Get agitated at your chavrusa, not too agitated, and listen to what he's saying. That's very important, and try to minimize uh, your agitated discussions to try to just get to a point and then move on. That's the one point of agitation. But use your agitation to go deeper, and especially on Purim. On Purim, you're not supposed to get agitated. The wine is supposed to create a feeling of brotherhood, sisterhood, and peace among the Jews. and forgive everybody. When you drink a little wine, you can say like, I thought I was right. Maybe I'm wrong. There's many other ways to look at it. This is the perfect Purim. In any event, Hashem should help us, give us the greatest Yad Shemaya, to be able to expand our vision and to see much, much more than we see generally that meets the eye. Amen. Kain Tirotza.